Welcome to Indian Institute of Management Lucknow's placement report. Let's take a look at this one. So I straight away went to their website. I downloaded this from here. You can also just check iml.ac.in placement reports. Final placement reports, summer placement reports. We'll quickly take a look at both of them. There are some interesting insights that I found out. So we'll start with the final placement report first one. Let's take a quick look at the batch profile. Important thing is 30%, of course, they have ensured gender diversity, which has been the prevalent trend nowadays in all the top IIMs, which is a good thing. And batch profile, if I talk about, majorly this is something that you have to be aware of. They really prefer people with a bit of experience. So out of a batch of 576, you will be able to see that around 200 people are there who are freshers. So 350 people rather, I would say, are experienced in some way or the other, and in fact they give a significant weightage to higher experience between 2 and 3 years or a bit more than 3 years and so on as well, which is close to 40% and so, which means if you are coming from a background which is professional, then there is a good chance that your profile is interesting to IIM Lucknow. And this is not just with the batch of 2022 to 2024 for which I'm showing you this placement report. In fact, if you go to this one as well, you will be able to see the same kind of trend. Out of a batch of 583, in fact, they have reduced the number of freshers this time, right? So I think there were around 200 or so in that case. Now there are 176. Now this doesn't mean that freshers do not stand a chance there. Why don't? These are freshers anyway. But it is always about what kind of things a particular institute prefers. So that is something which should give you some idea about that. They still have tried to ensure a 30% and 70% sort of gender diversity ratio, which is again a good thing. So it provides a healthy balance of gender diversity on the campus. Within this as well, you will be able to see that all the major areas have been covered, and once again something which we have seen across the colleges this time, consulting and finance have dominated the placement space. If you talk about the product and so on, then you would be able to see that operations and product management have been toward the lower side of it. In this case, operations is less, so it could be the reason. Maybe the organizations that offer those kind of roles are not appearing. Another interesting thing that I found out was this thing that yes, domain wise placement statistics. Now within that domain, look at that, within finance as well, which is the highest recruiter anyway, you would be able to see that your mean CTC, which is average CTC, and your highest CTC, they both are quite high, which means there are many opportunities in this space, despite the market scenario which has been said as something which is not inspiring, if I talk about the geopolitical market scenario. So as far as Indian placements go, even if the placements are happening in the organizations which are not Indian or which do not operate in India, that's also okay, because eventually they are doing their business here in some way or the other. Also, in a way, now this is my thought. I'm not sure how correct I am, but I do feel that if there is a significant hiring happening within the sector of investment banking and the hedge fund markets and so on, then there is a growing share of people with high net worth, and there is a growing share of people who are maybe interested in this kind of investment, and that's why you require these kind of people. And in fact, I was a couple of days ago thinking that why there has been a significant surge in people moving towards investing in mutual funds, for example. The reason is very simple: the growing awareness. But to manage mutual funds, you need to have good fund managers, and that is just one example which I feel can substantiate the reasoning for why there has been a significant hiring in finance. At least for this year, I'm seeing that. If I go to the placement report, which is of summers, I mean, this is something which interests a lot of people because it basically sets the tone of the entire placement cycle in motion. So let's take a quick look at that as well. As far as the yes, key placement statistics. Yes, this is what I was looking for. 3.5 lakh highest stipend, 3.5 lakh per month. This is something you can definitely expect from a college of this stature. normally when we talk about IIMs, you know, we always go for a trinity kind of a structure, but I think that Lucknow is going in that direction where people will now just be talking about that, hey, I have gotten the calls from a quad and not a trinity, not just ABC but ABCL. And you know, and this is the sign of a healthy placement, especially when you have a batch of more than 550 people and you are placing all of them with this kind of a median package, then that is something which is interesting. So a very, very healthy report. I personally like this report very much the way it is presented as well. So you know, even if I had not made this video, you would have understood this thing quite easily. Now interesting thing is, out of the batch of 580, 410 people are getting a stipend of more than 1 lakh. Now this has been a prevalent trend. In fact, this was the case 5-6 years ago also. But of course, within the aspect of stipend, we can't expect a significant change. That if 5-6 years ago you were getting a stipend of 1.5 lakh a month from the top organizations, still also you are going to get maybe more than that. But the best part is that if 400 people are getting this thing, which means close to 80% of the batch, maybe more than that, in that case, it means that more number of companies are now willing to shell out more money. Earlier, this kind of money was offered only by the top organizations. So the idea of day zero and day one probably is stretching now. If you are not aware of what is day zero and day one, once you go to these institutes, you will get to know about that. So that is a surprise for you. Then again, within the domain-wise placement statistics also, you would be able to see that finance has more or less dominated the picture. Then consulting again has dominated the picture, because these are the two things which have been the major recruiters. In fact, in final placements, they have been the major recruiters. In the summer placements also, they have been major recruiters. And many people out of these summer placements are going to get the PPOs, which are going to get inducted into many of these organizations. So that means, you know, they are really aiming for a lot of work coming their way, these organizations. And it seems that the final placement for this 2023 to 2025 batch also will reflect that. Then one last thing which I really want to show you is this one. There were some new first-time recruiters. Yes, this organization, Country Delight. I'm sure many of you must have heard of it. Now, this organization started as a very humble organization by an IIM, alumnus, maybe a group of alumni also. And this is what they used to reflect on their products as well. But the way they have progressed because of whatever quality or the service that they have provided, they are hiring from the IIMs. Now that basically shows the mark of how a startup can really become something big and can ensure that this becomes even bigger organization, because they want to hire talent from top schools. So, and you can also look at that, because this is not coming into the startup arena anymore. That's a very well established company. Maybe you also can make one such company some other day. And there are some startup fairs also. I mean, organizations came here as startups, so they also hired. So it was a healthy mix of the type of organizations, the type of roles, and a great package that they offered. So if you are preparing for CAT, I think this should serve enough impetus for you to go for this particular college, IIM Lucknow. So keep preparing for CAT, and hopefully when I deal with the placement report that concerns your batch when you go there, I'll be talking about the similar or better kind of things.